We're going to look at a TACAN-C approach into Lehigh Valley International Airport. And I'll just kind of brief the approach real quick and give some highlights and some tips about this approach. It's a non-precision approach. I very think that there's really nothing non-precise about flying this non-precision approach, and many others across the United States that I've been involved with through all the many years of flying. We have this is the FAA version of it. If you have Jeppesen charts, it's all the same. 117.5 is our VOR frequency. Inbound course is 182. The airport's very close to the VOR. ATIS, Allentown, departure approach, tower, ground control, clearance delivery, and so forth. We were going to start this approach out of Allentown with the active runway being 6. And so once we depart of Allentown, I'm going to be climbing out in my simulator, X-Plane12, beta number 7, and as we climb up to 3,100 feet. I'll probably initiate the turn to the VOR prior to 3,100 feet, but I do want to give myself a little more time. That way I'm not so rushed and the VOR isn't, directly there in front of me in 2 miles and I'm having to reconfigure all my nav aids for what we have to do to handle this one in here. So, good instrument procedures, a good scan. There's a lot going on after takeoff, gear up, or whatever, and so forth, getting to the VOR. Hit this outbound radio 008, pretty much a northbound heading. We're very close to the VOR. It's going to be over. It's going to be easy to overcorrect because you might be finding yourself chasing needles in there as you see the deflections, because we get into the cone of confusion. We go from could be a to indication to a from indication, and depending on your airplane, if you're just using a standard VOR or the HSI, might depend if you have reverse sensing. If you do twist in the 188-degree radial going to the station, doing that. I generally use the 008 outbound. I don't have reverse sensing. But even if I'm on the HSI, I can have 188 and I still won't have reverse sensing. I can turn the airplane towards the deflection of the needle. But basically get 3,100 feet. Once we're outbound on the 008, look for that 6 DME. This is a holding pattern. I'm going to use that to get myself configured since I'm not flying in from any other direction. I'll do that right turn to 040. That'll be my teardrop entry. A good time to start getting the airplane slowed down and getting configured the way that you want it. In this area, airspeed's very important. And in there, it shows 9.2 beers right on the ass end of that holding pattern, but still run your 5T's. Turn, yes. Turn 040. Time, yes. Time for 1 minute. Down here we have a note, 1 minute holding pattern. Don't be alarmed, when you see that 9.2, do not believe that that's for the holding pattern. I mean, you'll find yourself in that area probably after 1 minute, depending on what the winds are doing and so forth. You're still in the safety area, but 9.2 reflects the initial approach fix IAF for this approach. And then we have blown, which is at 6 DME, and we have Jurum at 1.9, and then that's at the to the VOR, and then from the VOR to the airport, which is 4.1. There's not a lot of distance to deal with, so things are going to happen pretty quick. And plus, we're so close to the nav aid that the needle deflections, you can find yourself over-controlling, over-intercepting these things, and then you're going to have to overcorrect to come back to re-intercept that. So, like I said, it's deceivingly simple. You get into this cone of confusion here, and both the needles are starting to swing in there, and they go full-scale deflection. Is that a pass or is that a fail? Nope, we wait for that to indication to go to a from indication, and just trust your headings, and those needles will come back in there. Our altitude is 3,100 feet. Zoom down the vortex, 2,500 feet, no lower. Got the lines underneath there, and then the minimum descent altitude, or the circling altitude with the correct altimeter setting in there, is 940 feet with 1 mile visibility. Category A, Category B, 1.3, all that kind of stuff with the approach. I'm not here to teach approach plates and all those procedures, but this is all about changing conditions, flying your instruments, attitude instrument flying, using the 6-pack. Back to basics. Even if you fly advanced instrumentation a Garmin 530 or a G1000 or whatever. These instrument scans, will be a little bit more condensed on the screen. So again, that's what this is all about. I'm not here to teach you how to fly instruments. I'm not here to teach you how to do a scan. You can refer to the FAA Instrument Training Handbook, which is still out there, an oldie but a goodie. I still use it. That's how I train, and that's how I was trained, and I trained with that. My flight instructor days, after over 500 students of various different ratings and so forth, instrument flying was always my favorite. And to do this. And back to basics, I found my students did so much better when I really took a couple good hours and worked on an instrument scan. Forget communications, forget approaches, get out there into an airwork area, have a good safety pilot, and work on those primary, supporting, and power instruments. Pitch, bank, and power. What's primary during straight and level? What's your primary instruments during a turn? In there. The only thing I'll tell you that, straight and level we're out here, primary for pitch is your altimeter. I digress, sorry, in there. So that's what we do. Well, category C is we're not going to be aligned to any runway, so there will be a circling. The only other question I want to leave you with, and probably talking about as fast as my airplane's flying right now, is that if we're on a circling maneuver, a left downwind for runway 6, and let's say we're a beam to touchdown point, and we lose sight of the runway due to clouds, atmospheric conditions, what are you going to do? Are you going to do a right turn back to the vortex as the missed approach procedure says? Or are you going to do a left turn back to the airport, climbing, and then proceed back to the published missed approach? Food for thought. I know what the Airman's Information Manual says. I know what the other books say about this kind of procedure, losing visual of the airport, your landing runway during a circle maneuver. So remember, there's not a lot of obstructions around an airport. It's a great place to gain altitude. So I'll just leave you with that question. Okay, since we talked about the approach, let's go ahead and get the engine started. Fuel pumps on. Mixture's forward. Fuel's coming in. Fuel pumps. Beacon on. Normally I'd yell clear prop. Left engine started. Fuel pressure is present. Number 2. Fuel pressure. And we're moving. Parking brake on. Alternators on. Strobes on. Nav lights on. And AVMs.
Be advised, towering cumulus observed nearby. Advise on initial contact you have. Information, India.
Let's go. DME goes on. Number 2, and transponder will go on to standby. Well, we've already talked about the approach, so while we're sitting here, we'll save a little bit of time. Let's go ahead and get the ATIS information.
2.15, altimeter 2995. Be advised, towering cumulus observed nearby. Advise on initial contact you have. Information, India.
Towering cumulus. I had originally planned to fly this in the clouds this morning. There were still some remnants.
International information, India. 2010 Zulu special. Arriving runway 06. Departing runway 06. Wind 090 degrees 8 knots. Visibility more than 10 miles. Sky conditions scattered at 3,300. Temperature 21. 2.15. Altimeter 2995. Advise on initial contact you have. Information, India.
Did that go away, towering?
Lehigh Valley International Information, India, 2010 Zulu Special. Arriving runway 06, departing runway 06, wind 090 degrees, 8 knots, visibility more than 10 miles, sky conditions scattered at 3,300, temperature 21, dew point 15, altimeter 2995, advise on initial contact you have information, India.
Well, as we said on the approach earlier, we're going to go ahead and set up our frequencies, and let's go ahead. Nav number 1, we want to go with 17.5. We're going to use that to go directly to the nav 8. So let's get to indication here. It's going to be probably around a north heading, taking the long way around here. Yeah, so about a north heading there. That's going to change by the time we get to the departure end of the runway. Nav number 2, we already have 117.5 in there, and then the course change is going to go to 182. So let's go ahead and put that in there. 182 looks good. That's the direct to the VOR FJC, and you know, since we're close, we might as well identify. DME first. Rock and roll. Nav 1. I do love the HSI. And let's check nav number 2. Tune and identify. Instrument procedures. This is not an RNAV approach, this is a VOR approach, and we're looking good. I also know that since we're using runway 6, we're coming back into this airport. I do have the ILS 6 frequency in here, and you'll see why that will help me, especially at nighttime if I'm in a circle to land procedure. If I'm getting a midfield left downwind runway 6, I've got that, and then I can change my OBS, my pointer to runway 6, and it gives me a great reference, and I can see as I'm lining up with the runway, you know, it shows me when I'm coming into the center line of the runway 6 on here, and as well as visually looking out the window. So everything's looking good, pretty much in the green as we're sitting here. So we're going to get ready to taxi. Let's just make sure we got everything set. So we have ground control in nav number 2. We are set to nav number 2. We do have tower in nav number 1, comm 1, sorry, and we have approaching comm 1 also. 21.9 is in comm number 2, not nav number 2. 17.5, we're looking good in there. 1200, they did give us a squawk code, so let's put that in there. 5-1-2-0. Okay, we're on the ground. I'm going to go ahead and turn these fuel pumps off, and I'm going to lean the mixtures out just a little bit. Real quick, we do have fuel. Everything else looks good. Parking brake is on, and we probably don't need any panel lights or floodlights, but they are on. I'll leave them on in there. And let's go with our taxiway light on it, just to be illuminated here. So back up we go. Let's scroll out a little bit, give us a little bit of room, and let's taxi ground bearing 5 X-ray Sirius hangar 7 ready for taxi runway 6. So we get our taxi clearance. I'm going to leave my transponder on standby, and here we go. I'm going to swing around here. One thing I always like to do, let me just get the plane on the taxiway here. We've already done our pre-flight ailerons, rudder, stabilator, elevator. Everything looks pretty good. Oil looks pretty good. Let me test our brakes. And we do have brakes. I can take a look at my instruments here. Turn coordinator, since we're going to be on instruments, cloud lower level labor, whatever, is going away. But I meant to do this in pretty much full IMC conditions, but I want to get something out there. Let's check our turn coordinator. I do a left turn. Wings go left, the ball goes to the right. Turn coordinator goes to the right, ball goes to the left. I'm noticing the change on the heading indicator. The directional gyro is operating. It's moving slowly. Our compass is full of liquid. And everything looks pretty good on the back of it. Okay, runway 6, let's go ahead and do our engine run-ups. I'm going to take these 17 inches. Again, this is going to be an IFR flight. 17 inches, still in the green. Temperatures are okay in there. Let's check our props. Good deal. Fuel flow did change, RPMs came back up. And we'll check our magnetos now. Looking good. Gyro, pressure, suction, looking good. Everything's in the green. We're 17 inches green, green, again, green, green. We've got plenty of fuel. Sometimes I like to check just the prop heating. And we show that we've increased the amperage there and the voltage to get propeller heating if in the case of icing, which I don't think will be a problem in there. But it's good to check every now and then. And even our the balloons on each side of the wings, left and right, for de-icing. As I expand, I should see the air pressure go up there. It's going up, back down. That's good. It's an automatic thing. If it's free, it's for me. So at this point, we're going to bring the idle back down. Now we're going to do our cliff checks and our compass checks. Got a little bit of scattered clouds out there. I don't think we're going to get any IMC. I had it this morning, but things just didn't work out. Okay, let's go ahead and hit the compass. Cliff check is compass. Showing about 330 there. We are 330. Let's use that letter C for the circuit breakers. I got circuit breakers in and checked. Circuit breakers on the right are all in and checked. We're looking pretty good. Nothing popped out. So compass, circuit breakers, cowl flaps are in the open position. That's good where we want them for takeoff. And let's check the floor and the seats for any clutter. I don't see any water bottles, pencils, knee boards, trash, garbage, anything rolling around on the floor that could impede with my rudder activity down here when I need to apply right rudder or left rudder or braking. Very good. Compass, and let's move on to the L, which is going to be lights. Let's go with takeoff lights coming on. L for latches. Doors are shut and locked and latched. Windows are latched and seat belts are latched. Any rear passengers, we're going to check with them also. Okay, fellow aviators, we're looking pretty good. So we got the cliff check, compass lights and instruments. Airspeed indicator showing 0. Again, a lot of this is when I'm going to go single pilot, IFR, into the clouds, IMC, and so forth. So these things I want to make sure that they're representing where we were at now, even on the ground. Airspeed indicator still showing 0. Turn coordinator is level, or ADF. We're not going to use that. Heading indicator, heading indicator there is representing to that. We did check it. It does turn, just as we did with the turn coordinator when we were taxiing down. We did check the brakes. Our transition instrument, the artificial horizon, as we want to call it, is looking pretty good. That stayed stable too, and during our little S turns there on the taxiway, and I had plenty of them. Altimeter, we have that set in the correct position. Vertical speed indicator showing 0, and at this idle position, we're looking pretty good. Main thing I'm looking at here are the cylinder temps left and right, and oil pressure, oil temp and pressure left and right. And then we come down, we do have fuel. We know we checked that in there, so our instruments are pretty good. The other thing too, a lot of times with the letter C, compass, lights, instruments, flaps, well, shit, we're done taxiing, so I'm going to switch over to number 2. And I do have tower in there. And ATIS, don't really need to. If I wanted to just pick it up again, I could throw up.
0 degrees, 11 knots. Visibility more than 10 miles. Sky conditions, view at 2,600. Broca at 2,900. Temperature 21, 2.15. Altimeter 2995. Be advised, tower and cumulus observed nearby. Advise on initial contact you have information.
Thunderstorm somewhere in there. So, okay. And the C is communication now. We do have tower because that's net frequency. Let's communicate our transponder here to altitude. Again, that could be right into the C area. I do have the current transponder to 5120. Just a number I made up. Doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean that May is the month of my birthday and the first day of May is my birthday. That doesn't mean anything, and I wish I was 20 years old again, but 5120, add those up, that's what, 5, 7, 8, yeah, I have no idea, 8 and a 0, 80 years old. Okay, looking pretty good. We did want to check down below our trims, our aileron and rudder trim and so forth are zeroed out. Sometimes I might put in a little bit of right rudder in there, but I always tend to forget about it, so I just rather muscle it through on there, and our trim is set. Compass, lights, instruments, and flaps. Let's go ahead and put in 1 degree flaps. Looking really good there. Okay. Other pre-takeoff checks is going to check our gas. Let's go. The fuel pumps are on. Mixtures gas undercarriage is down. Also, our fuel selectors. We can see these fuckers. I don't know how to get that. They're in there somewhere, but they are both on. Come on back down here. I don't have names for my airplanes. Compass, lights, instruments, and flaps as pre-checks are all calculated, taken care of, doing that. And gas. We did that. Fuel pumps are on. Undercarriage landing gear lever is in a down position. We do have 3 green. Mixtures forward and props are forward. Looks like we're ready for takeoff. Now our cliff checks are completed. Our gum checks are completed. And in there. During takeoff, if we lose an engine during takeoff roll, prior to rotation, we're going to go ahead and close the throttles, apply the brakes, stop the airplane, exit the runway, let ATC know. Tower. If we lose an engine after rotation with sufficient runway remaining, we're going to go ahead and reduce the power and land the airplane on the remaining runway. We'll let tower know that we are going to exit the runway at the next available taxiway with their permission. If we lose an engine after rotation with insufficient runway left, we're going to continue to climb straight out, maintaining runway heading, and we're going to run through our engine out procedures, which is, multi-engine airplane, mixtures forward, props forward, throttles forward, flaps up, gear up, identify, verify. and then we'll isolate that engine. Remember, aviate, navigate, communicate, stay true to the track of the airplane, keep it on, get ourselves into a zero side slip there, make sure we maintain blue line, and we'll continue to climb as best we can, depends on density, altitude, and so forth, which we've already worked out prior to this. Depends on the region, if we have mountains or we have this. Here we're pretty much wide open all around the Lehigh Valley Airport. Okay, and then once we're airborne there and we've done our checks, isolated, if we have to feather the propeller, get our airplane cleaned up, and come back around, let tower know that we've cleared an emergency, and we're going to come back in single engine and select a suitable runway to put the airplane down. Other than that, we are ready to take off. So we're going to go ahead, and as we looked at before on this plate, let's see if we can bring this up. Here it is. We're going to take off our runway 6. I'm going to climb out, give myself a little bit of more distance here so things can not happen so fast, and then make a left turn back to the VOR. At that point, we'll make a right turn outbound, but primarily, first thing is, on our chart, we're going to continue a left climbing turn to the FJC VORTAC, and we're looking for 3,100 feet for the outbound leg from the VORTAC. We'll be climbing through up to that. At that point, outbound on this 008 radial at 6 DME, we're going to do a right turn into the, it's a teardrop entry, I'd prefer to use that, and then make a left turn back into intercept the 188. I'll probably do another turn in the holding pattern again. Once we get up here, remember about IFR flying, you're by yourself, you got to do everything. So we're going to come on up, we've got our climb checks taken there. Once we get close to the VORTAC, 5T's, turn, time, twist, throttle, talk. Every time we cross that little fix, 5T's, get into the holding pattern, turn, yep, 040 is going to work. Time, 1 minute outbound. Twist, we'll twist in the inbound heading. This is all your primary basic instrument procedures for an approach. We haven't really briefed the approach just yet, and we're at 3,100 feet. It does say here 1 minute holding pattern, even though we get a DME of 9.2 here at Beers, so we'll be okay if we go out that far, but at about a minute we'll do that left turn back in, and again, we got our 5T's, turn, time, twist, throttle, talk. MDA is 940 feet. Now this is a VOR approach. This is not a RNAV or GPS or anything like that, so we've got everything set. Well, without further ado, let's go ahead and proceed on this approach. We're all set up, everything's looking good, engines sound good, we're all on the grade.
Attention all aircraft. Altimeter 2990.
Allentown Tower, we're on comm number 1. We're ready for takeoff. Bearing 5 X-ray Sierra. Now, a lot of times if I know I'm going to go into the clouds relatively quickly, it isn't going to happen here. We've got some scattered clouds. They look like they're about 3,000, a little bit lower, not a problem. We are on runway 6. We are showing runway 6. I'm going to put my heading bug there. We've had this set up for direct to the VOR, and we're cleared for takeoff. One thing I noticed with X-Plane is that during a takeoff, obviously we want to use full power. But if we go into full power, it gets a bit squirrely, and the rudder usage has to be pretty quick. And we tend to go left and right too aggressively here. So I just allow the airplane to increase its ground speed here during the takeoff roll without applying full power. Once I get the airspeed is alive around 40 or 50 knots in this twin, then I start coming in with full power slowly. And that way I can adjust to the changes quick. If you just go full power, airspeed's alive, 80 knots, cross-check. I like to rotate around 90, power sounds good, nose up. Attitude indicator, 10 degrees. I've got my visual picture. Positive rate, gear up. A little bit of trim. Nose wants to go up. I'm looking for about 100, 110. Got a good rate. I'm going to go ahead and clean the airplane up, flaps up.
Attention all aircraft. Lehigh Valley International Information Kilo current. Altimeter 2990.
About 1,000 feet, we're looking pretty good. It's a good time to take the power down. 25-25 works. Knowing that the VOR is pretty close, we're about 4 miles away from it. Let's remember, it's easy to over control and over correct, so we're going to make teeny tiny changes as we go through. 2,000 feet. And let's reset for direct. We can start initiating that turn, which is about 90 degrees to our left. We're on the instruments. Trimming out the airplane. So climb check. Standard rate turn. About 1,000 foot to go. I'm just doing kind of a half standard rate here. Dialing this a little bit closer. It changes. I got a little time here. About 330. Remember, we're 3.8 miles away now. 2,500 feet to 3,100. And here we go. Let's start to roll out. I'm going to put my prop sync on. Put my yaw damper on. Now remember, close, right on that money. I want to get back in there. 300 to go. 2.9 on the DME. About 100 foot prior to that, we'll forward pressure. Make that transition on your attitude indicator. At this point, I'm allowing the airspeed to increase to my cruise speed. VOR's coming in. Let's not overcorrect here. A little forward pressure. Keep the scan going. Now we're going direct to the VOR. .4 miles. That CDI ought to come in here pretty quickly. At this point, I'm going to get my power back to cruise. Bring the props down, hold that nose down, VOR is coming back in. We're almost getting over top of this sucker. Now I'm going to go ahead and do my airspeed, trim the airplane for this airspeed. We're right over the cone of confusion. We're going to do that right turn now to 008, that's our outbound heading. A little back pressure, standard rate. It's choppy up here. Back pressure. It's outbound is 008. Let's go ahead and put that in there. Let's see what we got. bit of a correction to the right. Turn, time, twist, throttle, talk. We're now 1.3 miles away from the VOR going outbound. As you can see, we're on number 1 nav. Just trying to get myself situated. Turn, time, twist, throttle, talk. Now a lot of times too, when I'm trying to maintain a constant altitude, 3,100, I think it's no lower than 3,100, so I should be not going below that number. A little course correction. In my scan, I'm watching my heading. If I have to make a heading change, I come up here, I make it right there, hold that for a second, real quick check. That looks sufficient. And back to wings level on the transition air. Airspeed is constant. If I see my vertical speed indicator, which is instantaneous on trend, if that's moving, then my altitude is either going too high or too low. I'm going to make the proper adjustment. Right now I've got it pretty much centralized on the 0. Hand flying this, we don't have the autopilot on, no heading control, keeping the eyes moving. Power is set at 1700. Let's bring our plate up here again, just to look at this. We're on the correct frequency. We are outbound on the 008 radial at 6 DME. We're going to do a teardrop entry. About a heading of 004, 040, 40 degrees. That'd be a right turn. And then we'll do our 5T's, come back inbound, and we'll set up for the 188. And see how we're looking. We might just shoot the approach, or we might do another holding pattern. At that point, we can descend 3,100 feet, 1.9 DME. We're going to be looking at 2,500 feet, and then right over top of the VOR, down to 940 for our MDA. It's going to be circling, hence that's why this is a C. And the next thing we're going to look at is, we don't want to forget, we're going to change heading. We're going to get on the 182 radial here. Going inbound directly to the tower. Not sure I want to be in the tower because that's aiming. Looks like we'll get a left downwind for a landing on runway 6. MDA is 940. I'll call it 1,000 feet. Give us a little cushion. .1 for 6, 3,100 feet, a little higher. We lost all our clouds. These are some of the remnants of the Hurricane Aaron. .7 for 6. Everything is in the green. .1 for 6. .8. Now let's do a right turn to 040. We are entering the holding pattern in now. Turn, yes. 040. Time, yes. Twist, yes. Let's twist into aviate, navigate, communicate. 188. .5 seconds. Altitude looks good. .10 seconds. CDI's moved off. Correct direction. we go, about 1 minute. Let's do our standard rate turn inbound. I note the standard rate's right about there. So then I look at my attitude indicator. That's about 22 degrees. I can use that for my reference instead of staring and checking in on the turn coordinator every now and then. A bit of back pressure. CDI is moving in there pretty quickly. I might fudge it with a little more than standard rate turn. Watch our altitude. Again, I'm not perfect. We're okay up at this altitude. CDI is centered. No more than 30 degrees. I'll just re-intercept. It's a little challenging. You see the mountain range right there. We do have the correct altimeter setting in. 6 DME is coming up. We're pretty stabilized. I think at this time we're just going to fly the approach in, save a little bit of time. Turn time, twist, throttle, talk. Everything's looking pretty good. Now we're at, we pressed 6 DME on the DME unit. Got that set to nav number 2. We're looking pretty good. We're still going to maintain 3,100 feet. Try to. On course. Take a little bit of that correction out. Now we're looking for 1.9. We can go down to 2,500 feet. That's going to take us to the VOR. Then we'll come down to 1,000 feet. And let's remember, we need to cross over to the 182. 3.7. It's a good workout with my scan. Straight level's not too bad. Go ahead and get rid of the yokes again. I don't know why they bother me. I wish I could do that in a real airplane. 2.6 to go. At 1.9, a little bit late, so let's go ahead and drop our power. I was thinking about something else here. And down to 2,500 feet. Turn, time, twist, throttle, talk. Course is in. No timing needed because we're using the DME. Coming up over the VOR, 2,500. Let's go ahead and level off just a bit there. Stop that rate of descent, 2,500 feet, right over the DME. At 0.3, switching over. Let's just stay right at 180. Let's see what happens here. A little bit right. It's going to come in though pretty quickly. And we can start descending now. Just power out. Looking good. Going a little bit left. We're on the secondary VOR here. At this point, I'm going to go ahead and bring my gear down. Flaps come down. Power comes out. About 1,000 foot ready descent's fine. Sometimes I do, if I can, I'll just come in and tweak that into 182. 2,000, 1,000 to go. Turn, yes, 182. Time, not needed, we're on the DME. Turn time twist, we've already got it in. Throttle, talk, let it know we're inbound now. That's like traffic pattern altitude here, about 1,400 feet we're coming down. We should be breaking out and seeing the airport. If the clouds were a little bit lower, I'd be a little skeptical, but yep, puts us right on course. So now we're cleared for a left downwind runway 6. So let's go ahead and break off. Bring my power back up to cruise. I have 3 green. Gas is on. Undercarriage is down. Mixtures are forward. Props I'm going to hold. I'm going to just use 1200 as my MDA. Airspeed, we're going to be looking for about 100, 110. Sometimes what I like to do is just kind of come in here and put the localizer frequency in. Change that to the runway heading, kind of gives me a little bit more of a reference. Looking over, looking pretty good. Lighting lights are on. Compass, good. Instruments, everything's in the green. Windows, doors, latches, seatbelts are on. Coming up on a left base for runway 6, full stop. We're pretty close, so I'm probably just going to keep this turn going, and I'm going to go turn left base now. Glide slope is above us. Got to turn the prop sinks off. Yaw damper comes off. Now I'm going to bring the props up. For about 100 knots coming in here. We're on airspeed. A little bit of an overshoot. Got the landing made. Full flaps. Gas is on. Undercarriage is down. 3 green. Airspeed. Happy's coming in. 3 white, 1 red. 2 red, 2 white. Red over red, you're dead. Gas, gear is on. should be on tower. Forgot to get the clearance. Alright, let's bring the airplane to a stop. Tower clear. Let's go over to ground. Column number 2. Let's go ahead and clean the airplane up. Let's go ahead and open up the cowl flaps. Fuel pumps can come off in there, and our landing light can come off. And ground, we're ready. Okay. Okay, planes to the stop. Parking brake on. DME off. Transponder. We'll just go off there. Avionics off. Engine looks pretty stabilized. We'll go ahead and shut those down. Lights off. Parking brakes on, and